Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai is someone who's written more than 15 books on the topic of Chanakya. Who was Chanakya? He's considered one of the all-time greatest brains that this country has ever produced. The knowledge that he spread, his teachings have actually lived on years after he passed away. That's the greatness of that man. So imagine all that knowledge of Chanakya being boiled down to one book called the Chanakya Neeti. And then imagine all the knowledge of that one book being boiled down to a basic podcast. That's what this episode of the Ranveer Show is. This is your personal mentorship session from Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai. By the end of it, you're going to elevate your consciousness, you're going to elevate your mind, you're going to elevate your thought process because you're going to get access to one of the nation's best minds, both in the form of Chanakya and Chanakya reincarnated, according to me, Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai. Enjoy the episode. Welcome to another very value-adding episode of the Ranveer Show. They say that the smartest individual in the history of India was this person called Chanakya. And I say that one of the smartest men in India is this person called Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai, sir, who is also the modern-day expert on Chanakya. And many people consider you Chanakya Reborn. Also, that was the title of a video we did together.
Yeah.
So the title of this episode of the Ranveer Show is again related to Chanakya. It's the top 5 learnings from the Chanakya Neeti.
Yeah.
So before we get into the actual learnings which will help people benefit, modern day hustlers benefit, I want to ask you a brief history on Chanakya and the Chanakya Neeti.
So, first of all, thanks a lot for bringing me back into this particular show because I've enjoyed your show. There's so much that is so fulfilling for me when I'm in this particular studio. And I'm glad you're speaking on the topic, which is my life commitment to, that is Chanakya and his Chanakya Neeti.
Yes, sir.
Coming back, everybody knows about Chanakya. There is so much we can learn from Chanakya. So I like to talk about 2 basic things. One is the story part of Chanakya, and the second is the strategy part of Chanakya. So I think Chanakya lived in 3rd century BC. He was a kingmaker of Chandragupta Maurya. He defeated Alexander, blah, 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 blah. So everything is quite known, and there is so much content available on YouTube, etc. So you can watch it. But what I'm going to talk about the second part of it, which is his work being documented. So it is said that he wrote 2 books. One is called the Kautilya's Arthashastra, and the second one is called Chanakya Neeti. The difference between these 2 is Kautilya Arthashastra has got 6,000 sutras or formulas of how to run a kingdom. So I would say it's almost like a Rajavidya meant for the leaders.
Does it also apply to business?
It does. In fact, I've written quite a few books on application of Arthashastra into the real life, including business. The second book is called Chanakya Neeti, and it's a book which consists around 350 odd sutras. So 350 odd versus 6,000, that's the difference. So scholars say that Arthashastra was written for the kings, the classes, while Chanakya Neeti was written for the masses. And it is very practical in nature. It talks about how a person should live his daily life, what he should do. And it talks about a lot of aspects of human being, right? From being a good student to actually being a good householder, how do you earn money ethically. It talks about also the spiritual side of it. It also talks about parenting. And very practical tips on, how to be careful in life, how to choose your friends, how to actually make sure that you are giving money, also donation to the right people, never to get fooled, etc., etc. So coming back, Chanakya Neeti is definitely a book, but if you look at the 2 words, Chanakya and Neeti, I would like to sum it up by saying that Chanakya was a person, of course, but Neeti by itself has got a lot of meanings. Neeti means policy. Neeti means the way to go. Neeti means strategy. Neeti means plan. So if you look at the word Neeti in Sanskrit, it got various meanings. So I would say Chanakya's planning, Chanakya's way of teaching, Chanakya's strategies, etc., etc. So I'm specifically talking about the book called Chanakya Neeti, which was written by Chanakya many years ago. And I've been fortunate that I've also written a version of Chanakya's Neeti in Radhakrishnan Pillai's explanation of it also.
Yeah. So what will a person gain from going through your book on the Chanakya Neeti or just having information about it? Like, if they are at point A before reading it, at point B, what will they become?
Definitely, there'll be benefit. It's like going to a school and you started attending the 1st standard, and after a year, you got passed out to 2nd standard. And you'll see the difference in you because Chanakya Neeti helps you to think differently. So if you think differently, you do the same things differently.
You figure out better strategy or faster ways of doing it?
Absolutely. So I think Chanakya Neeti is all about strategies, policies. So by learning Chanakya Neeti, a lot of people for centuries have got benefited, and I'm sure you will. So let me give you an example. One of my teachers used to tell me this. You know which is India's best-selling book? I said, okay. What a strange question. Like, actually, it's Chanakya Neeti. I said, "Oh, go anywhere, you'll find a version of Chanakya Neeti, So you'll find it in a bookstall, you can find it there. Now, coming back to my Chanakya Neeti, how is it different from the others? So 650 sutras or formulas are still the same. But what happens is that in a lot of the books that we have is that the Sanskrit and the translate into English. But we have done something very different. We have given explanation of all of them in detail. So let me give you an example. And then we'll talk about how it is going to benefit you from point A to point B. And of course, the 5 points that you should take away from this particular video. So let me start by saying that very simple sutra or strategy. Be careful from 3 things. Okay. And it continues by saying, if you know how to use them, it will be beneficial. If you misuse them, they will finish you. Okay. So the first one is fire. So fire, you should know how to use it, because in every house there is fire, right? So we warm up the house, we require it for cooking. That's why when you enter a house also, it's called house warming. But if you don't know how to, manage that fire, it can burn up your whole house. So be careful from fire, but it can help you or destroy you. Second is called king. King. You're too close to a king, that's good. But, if you misuse the king, they will destroy you. So people, who are around powerful people should be careful that they may suddenly tell you, okay, you're promoted and, you go and take charge of this particular kingdom. So a king can make you a king. The thing is that if you take the king for granted, they will finish off your career and your life once and for all. So powerful, they can destroy or make you. Chanakya says the third thing also, snake. Be careful from a snake, I understand. But it can actually help you in what way? Are you aware of it? That actually in the army, people are trained to catch snakes. You know what is the logic? Because let's say in the army, you're in the jungle, and especially when you're on a mission and you're going to a deep jungle, you feel hungry, right? So they will look around and probably they will find a fruit or a flower. The fruit may look good, very exotic, but you're not sure whether it's poisonous. But you're feeling hungry, you need to survive. So there could be a lot of things around, but the beautiful part is that every particular jungle will have a snake. But the snake can bite you. That's a danger. So you have to be careful about the snake. But do you know, if you know how to catch the snake and maybe just, take away the poisonous part of it, the whole snake body you can actually eat. Okay. So it actually becomes like a survival in the jungle. I'm not here saying that, be snake eaters, but the logic is that be careful from a snake, but it can be also useful to you in the most difficult situations. Practical? So Chanakya says 3 things. Be careful from fire, king, and a snake. Now, look at this. You can actually practically apply it. So when you are in front of your bosses, you said, okay, I'm close to him, it will give me warmth. But don't cross that line, that Lakshman Rekha. Same thing. It all goes to fire, etc., etc. So I'm just giving one example out of 350 ideas about how you can be successful and careful in life. In fact, to be successful, you should be careful in life and very careful in life.
So coming to the 5 top learnings of the Chanakya Neeti.
So I think every 350 sutras are all top by itself, but we'll limit it to 5.
Sutra is what? It's like like what is a sutra?
Sutra is like a formula.
Okay.
So for example, E is equal to MC square.
Got it. So Chanakya wrote 350 formulas for life.
Absolutely, you got it right. And they can be applied everywhere.
Okay. So what would be like your top 5 sutras?
So I will start with something which is very close to my heart.
Okay.
Which is on parenting.
Okay.
Because I have 2 lovely kids. But just because the kids are good doesn't mean you are a good parent. So I always look at one of the very basic formulas, sutras, that Chanakya spoke about parenting in a very simple line. He says, for the first 5 years, love the child. Next 10 years, discipline him. And after that, consider them your friends. Formula, simple 3-liners. So let me explain that to you. So when a child is small, it's very lovely, cute. So you can only love the child, Suppose you got a latest mobile and you just banged it. You can't do anything about it. Just love the child unconditionally. But the moment the child is 5 years old and upwards, its intellect starts developing it. And it's a very dangerous trend today happening because especially a lot of parents just allow children to do anything that they want. And actually that's bad parenting. So what Chanakya says is that now you need to actually use discipline, and discipline doesn't mean beating. Okay, the ability to say no is also important for a parent, because if you say yes, 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 he will never understand what is no, and that can actually lead to failures in life. So discipline the child for the next 10 years, and after that, consider him or her as your friend. The biggest problem that we have, especially in a country like India, the child may be 70 years old. The 90-year-old parent is still alive. Abhi bhi bacha hai. After 15 years, you are fully grown. Of course, life experiences may not be that big, yet you're a full adult. So look at this formula which has helped me. So first one is that love your child 5 years, discipline 10 years, and then consider them your friends. I think full parenting at the best level for 15 years. Now coming back to the 5 points that you're talking about. I like to summarize from all the experiences that I have gone through by reading, studying Chanakya. The first Neeti, the first Chanakya Neeti to have a successful life is to have a purpose in life. A lot of people, live like a common person. Probably they're highly educated, but you look at them, they're very dull and they don't even have a reason to get up. So they just pull themselves out and saying that, okay, I studied, now I need to get a job. Okay, now I got a job, I need to get married. Okay, I need to get married, I need to have children. Okay, that's good, but that's normal. Successful people do all these also, but they have something beyond. So the first question is that if you want to really be successful in life, ask yourself, what's your purpose? What is that for which you're ready to live and if necessary die? And it's not easy. I understand that. So I think there is a saying that the only purpose of a person's life is to have a purpose. And everything falls into place. So I think, friends, Chanakya says what we call in modern day settings called as goal setting exercise. So do something with yourself. Sit down. And in our ancient old tradition, it's called finding your swadharma. What am I born for? It's a very deep question. But if you actually go introspect and spend time with yourself, meditate, believe me, the answer will come to you. So I remember how I found my purpose in my life. Yeah. Believe me, I was at Kailash Mansarovar, live in the Himalayas. And when I saw the Kailash mountain first, I've been always struggling, what are the purpose of my life? The moment I saw Kailash mountain, it hit to me as if somebody was speaking to me, and saying that, please give your life to the study of Chanakya and his Arthashastra. I just told my wife Sureka, saying that, I don't know whether it's a sound or it's a feeling, but I feel, I should dedicate my life to the promotion and the studies of Chanakya and Arthashastra. She kept it very quietly to herself, but whenever I have a problem, she always told me, remember, you got a purpose in your life. People ask me, how are you so full of energy? I've written 15 books. I'm still writing 8 books on Chanakya. Got involved in 2 movies. I've been doing a lot of podcasts. I'm teaching in universities across the globe. Every single day, I'm at least giving 1 or 2 lectures or interviews or something like that. So maybe how do you keep it going? And saying that I have a purpose in my life. I've discovered it long ago. A lot of people, even at the end of their life, they don't have a purpose. So as they say, I was dead at 28 and I got buried at 80.
Wow.
So think about it.
What is their state of mind?
I think they're just dragging on. They're just dragging on, saying that, maybe I have to just leave and do something very normal. So I'm not saying that, people have to live a normal life. You can actually live an extraordinary life, not just an ordinary. First Chanakya Neeti is to have a purpose, discover the purpose. Go inside, get it. Gandhiji got it. Well, he was pushed out from a train. Maybe that instance, it comes where you say, this is for me. It could be actually saving a girl child. For everybody, it could be different. It could be in sports. For you, it could be YouTube and just broadcasting it day in and day out. But if you have a purpose for which you will actually get up every day morning, and as APJ Abdul Kalam sir said, dreams are not that what you see when you're sleeping, but dreams are those that don't allow you to sleep.
Yeah. 100%.
Formula number 1, Chanakya Neeti.
Even in daily life in our office, I've seen that the best performers who've been with the organization for more than a year and a half, 2 years now, are the guys who wake up in the morning with that intention of, okay, today I'm just going to create, or today I'm just going to add value. It's that the purpose can be as simple as just that. Also.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be, I'm going to take over the world, or I'm going to teach, I'm going to make this mass change in the world. It can be little things.
Absolutely.
So, but you should put your mind on that one thing.
And it's all about that one thing.
Yeah.
You don't have to have 100 purposes. You need to have that one.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, it becomes easy. I found that one Chanakya, that's enough.
Yeah.
Many people tell me also, Ranveer, that, why don't you now write your next book on maybe Ramayana?
Yeah.
Or maybe something else. I said, why? If something is working right, why change it? In fact, it has been mathematically proven. It's called the game theory. If you're already successful, don't be stupid to change it. So it's doing well. People, what they do is that they already found their purpose. They say, oh, I have a doubt. Let me go to the other one and the other one. Finally, you will not be there in the first stage also. So it's like, digging a well everywhere and finding no water.
Yeah.
So it's very important, as you rightly pointed out, every day if you want to create a video.
Yeah.
And that's your purpose.
We've had kids who have worked in the organization with that thing of, no, I want more, or everything's too slow, or maybe I'll be happy somewhere else. And they go there, a mess gets created there, and then they land up exactly without any water anywhere.
Exactly.
So again, as a co-founder of an organization, also you see all these stories happening in front of you. Through kids you have groomed, even if you've not made those mistakes, you see people making these mistakes.
Yeah.
But anyway, so go on with the Chanakya.
No, in fact, that actually connects to my second point.
Yeah.
Okay, the second Chanakya Neeti. Desire to learn. So you got a purpose. Let's say I got a purpose that I want to maybe start an NGO that will going to feed, hundreds of children. But I am actually associated with an NGO called as the Roti Bank. So Roti Bank is a very interesting phenomenon where actually they are feeding the street children. And they're actually doing it almost like 1 million children now over a bit of time. But the thing is that if I have a purpose, that's the first step. I don't know how the process works. So if I'm going to be a cricketer or a sportsman or a YouTuber for that particular matter, I said, okay, I have found a purpose, but I can't just jump into it, right? So I need to have a desire to learn, formally or informally. So what people do is that go and join a course. There are formal things. So for example, you want to play cricket and you found your purpose in life, you still require a coach. So go and join a cricket academy or a film academy or whatever, or read books. Or see YouTube videos. I think this generation has got the advantage of actually getting knowledge free.
Yeah.
But you should be a student who says, I'm a beginner. And even if you are an expert, you still should have a desire to learn. Because even at the top, there is something more to learn. So the thing is that have a purpose. The second is desire to learn. And it can be multiple ways of learning. Digital, formal, informal, through books, through cinemas.
Through people.
Through people, conversations.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'm learning from you also.
I don't know. So again, the big reason we started the podcast was for this exactly, that yes, I'll create content, but at the same time, through each conversation on a personal level, I'm learning a lot, which then I can put out on my Hindi channel as well later.
Excellent. So see, you have a purpose.
Yeah.
You have a desire to learn, and you feel nice and more creative when you have a desire to learn.
Yeah.
Because you're saying, okay, there is something more, a different way of creating it.
Yes, sir.
So you learn from experts. The third point is also something connected, and it's called having elders with you. And the Sanskrit word for that is called Vriddha Sanyoga. So one is purpose, second desire to learn. But whom do you learn from?
A mentor.
Learn only from experts. Okay. Now please understand this. Let us put life into 3 levels. Okay. So let's say you're at level 5. Okay. There could be people who are at level 3. Could be people who are at level 5. And there could be people who are at level 10. So whom do you learn from? People say, I'm learning from everybody. Okay, that's a nice desire to learn from everyone. But the reality is that, let's say you're at level 5 of knowledge and experience, and there is somebody who's at level 2 or 3 who comes to you. Actually, you end up teaching that person. Okay? And whatever he or she says, it's an input, but that's not actually an expert advice. If you are at level 5, and the other person is also at level 5, you are actually equal friends. You can discuss with each other, sharing. But Chanakya says no. Vriddha Sanyoga is those people who are at level 10. So let's say you have a 50 crore company. You can have friends who are also at 50 crores. There are people who have just startups maybe at 10 crores. So you actually land up teaching the 10 crore guy how to be a 50 crore guy. And you're discussing common problems with the other friend who's at 50 crores. But Vriddha Sanyoga is actually associating yourself with a 100 crore guy. So then what happens is basically when you're surrounded with such people, automatically you raise your bar from A to B without any efforts. So let's say in a week, I'm spending at least 4 hours with people who are more experienced than me. Just spend time and don't even do anything. Just watch them. And you'll be surprised, since he's already at 100 crore and you're at 50 crore, let's say, as a turnover of a company, just watch them, listen to the discussions. Without your own knowledge, you actually turn around your company to 60 or 70 crores. And it's a very easy way of actually being successful by being around those people who are more successful than you.
Yeah.
And when they say something, they're actually guiding you to actually break your barrier and go to the next level, go to the next orbit. So think about this.
Yeah.
First is purpose, desire to learn, and learning from experts. And here is a warning. Many people actually get misled by two terms: opinion and expert advice. So many people, when they give opinions, you think that's an advice. It is not an advice. It is just an opinion. It's a person who doesn't know anything, who feels कि मुझे भी लगता है. You know, a lot of market researchers get it wrong there. So there was a common man and saying, what do you think the product will do well or no? So they may give a data. But the real insight is by those people who are telling you this will work, and you don't have to go to statistical data. So if you just go and ask Bill Gates how to create a successful business, you don't have to just ask one Bill Gates, right? Not 20 people who are startups. Startups are also important. So please understand that expert advice is what is Vriddha Sanyoga. So if you are already doing YouTube, would you like to learn from a person who's already maybe 10 times bigger than you? Okay, so here is an advice which I read. It's a very powerful, sweet little advice. It says, never take an advice from somebody who is not an expert. This is our advice. So if you want to take an advice, only take it from an expert. So maybe they are costly. Maybe to meet that particular person, it will be delayed. So suppose you have to go and meet Bill Gates. Nahi hoga. Hoga.
I feel that in the modern day, so it's not about meeting the person, because any successful person has the information available online.
Absolutely.
That's the power of the internet. If you search for it, it'll land up in your hands.
Exactly. Make sure he is better and higher than you.
Yeah. Do podcasts, do internet videos,
Yes.
read books. But 2020, finding information and finding mentorship from these people is not difficult.
Yes.
I genuinely feel that. Anyways, go on.
The fourth one, which actually Chanakya did, it's create institutions. People don't understand. Okay. Usually what happens is that when people start, it's always a one-man show or a one-woman show, whatever. It's all about you. But as you go, you reach a particular point saying that I can't go higher without a team around me. So, and individually you may be good, but the next scale up happens when you do everything into a process system. So that's when you start building teams, companies, institutions. Otherwise, what will happen? You always be glorified as a one person, but it's like being a good actor and actually creating a production company. That's where the scale happens. So a production company is going to last beyond you. And as an actor, you may have a time limit to your performance and things. So those smarter guys, what did Chanakya do? He created Chandragupta Maurya, but he also created systems and processes for the future Chandragupta Mauryas. Because if you don't do that, what will happen exactly that it will die with you. So I think it's very important to create institutions. So Chanakya created a kingdom along with a king. Two different things. One is creating a king, but it's also creating a kingdom. Now we come to the fifth and the final point. And that is very important. Probably we should practice it more often. It is called documentation. Documentation in various forms. It could be written, it could be audio or video. See, what happens is that we had a habit which probably is not too much there in today's generation. It's called diary writing. So every day what you learn, write it down. And you'll be surprised when you do it every day. Let's say in a year, you actually look at a diary. 365 days you've written something. And said, wow. I'll tell you two things about successful people. When they write it themselves, okay, they're remembered after they are gone. Two things. Chanakya himself wrote all his strategies. Imagine if he had not written, there would have been a great person, but nobody knows what was happening in his mind. In fact, if you look at all the great gurus, maybe you're talking about the book Autobiography of Yogi, written by him, he's not there. But Paramahansa Yogananda's book is documented. All religions of the world are documented. Do you know, this year we are actually celebrating 550th year of Guru Nanak Ji's birthday, Guru Nanak Dev Ji's birthday. How many of you are aware that if you go to any Gurudwara, they actually worship an image? I mean, what is that? Are you aware of this?
It's the Gurbani, his book, right?
It's a book. Yeah. And it's actually the notes that Guru Nanak Ji used to write every day. Yeah. So finally, the other gurus and all actually started adding. So every learning, he wrote it down. And what happened to the 10th Guru, Guru Gobind Singh Ji? He said, from now onwards, there will be no physical Guru. The book will be the Guru. Chanakya had not written the Arthashastra or Chanakya Neeti, but lost his wisdom. So it's very important, my dear friends. Please write a book.
Yeah.
You will also write a book on being India's number one YouTuber. It will definitely sell.
Yeah.
So looking at these particular points, you'll start realizing that life is about actually creating a legacy after you are gone. Do you want to be successful only for a short time, or you want to be successful forever? To that extent, that generations to come will actually remember you. So these are the 5 things: purpose, desire to learn, learning from experts, building an institution, and finally the 5th point: document it into a process that others can benefit after you're gone.
Crazy. So this was beautiful, but I have one burning question in my mind which I have to get out, which is that because you studied Chanakya in so much detail, what do you think that Chanakya was thinking about on his deathbed? Like,
Now, this is a question a lot of people ask me. In fact, to the extent, how did Chanakya die?
yeah, that as well.
So let me tell you, Chanakya had something called as Ichchamaran. You know what is Ichchamaran?
You can choose when you want to die.
Exactly. Now, Chanakya was probably very successful in his life, and I think for me is an ideal because he never had any regrets. There are 2 kind of people who regret. Number 1 is that people who don't know what to do in their life or never did anything in their life. Right? So I'm just lying on my deathbed and it is just dragging around like anybody else. I did not do anything. That's the first type of regret, not doing anything, contributing anything. The second is those people who had a desire but never got it fulfilled in their lifetime. That's also a regret, I started something but I could not complete it. But Chanakya actually was different because he completed both of them and had no regrets. Number 1, he had a purpose in his life, and that was to create a whole empire called the Bharatvarsha. He created that. And what is important that he did it in his lifetime before dying. Not many people are lucky. People have goals and they say, I will sow a seed and maybe my grandchildren will enjoy it. Of course, the grandchildren should enjoy it. But why not you in your own lifetime? So if you look at what was Chanakya thinking during his deathbed, probably saying that thank you for everything. Now I'm going to live very successfully and peacefully. If on deathbed you can say I have no regrets, I have lived my life well, I think that's called a successful life.
Beautiful. Thank you, Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai. So,
Thank you.
Another gorgeous podcast with you. Obviously, guys, I'll be linking all of Sir's books on Chanakya and his latest book on the Chanakya Neeti down below. Make sure you check it out. Make sure you follow Sir on all his handles. And until next time, from Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai and Ranveer Alawade.
Thank you so much.